Hey everyone, this is Kevin Shriver from Downtown Pittsburgh Dogs. Hope you all are doing very well. Thanks as always for watching. Wanted to talk to you today about the idea of children and dogs. A lot of people ask me this question when they are having children come and meet with dogs. They have a dog and they're introducing them to children, as well as people that are just having babies, and they're like, they have a new infant and they're bringing into the household, and they're concerned about that transition and that meeting. So a couple things I want to talk about related to this. First of all, there are millions of dogs in the United States living with millions of children, and nothing happens to them. Dogs are fine, children are fine. Most dog incidences that happen between dogs and children is mainly caused by lack of parental supervision. What's happening most of the time with any type of child and dog interaction is, from what I've seen and what I've researched, and I've seen a lot of stuff here, the children are being children and the dogs are being dogs. And when you understand that you have two immature and dependent and codependent beings together, it's going to be, at best it's going to be easy and silly. At the most it's going to be annoying and kind of flippant actions between both parties. What I am trying to get at with that is, if you're an adult and you are managing your dog, you need to make sure that you are always in the same room and supervising dogs and children playing together. Let me talk about two different sides to dogs and children. First is, if you have an infant coming into the house, a new baby, which is great, joining you, you want to do a couple things. Obviously, you're never going to leave the child and the dog in the same room at the same time. They can smell the baby. You don't have to do anything necessarily with food or feeding or putting a blanket on the floor. They can smell the baby. You are never going to be in a position where you are leaving the baby. You should not be where your baby's on the ground and dog is roaming or attempting to be dominant over an infant child. Just don't do that. You also need to have your dog have commands, have a process, have a system so that you can get its attention and move it away and say, go, go away if you need to, or if they're not being, they're not coming into the situation in a nice manner, you have to stop that. Aggression with infants is not allowed at all. If someone has to keep a leash on the dog and that's what you need to do, you can do that. Very rare. It's very rare if you do a great job with the training and exercise. If you are stressed out and you allow a stressed out dog that's under-exercised and has no boundaries, no disciplines, yeah, you could see some anxiety come out with children and small children. The second side of the infant, I was talking about infants there, as it relates to children, most of the time it's kids being kids. Like I said, kids being kids and dogs being dogs. Still don't allow immature children to play with dogs. You need to teach the children, if they're old enough, if they're over the age of, I would say over the age of 3 or 4, you need to teach them how to play with the dog. The dog is not their play toy. It's not their, little horseback, ride the horse and WWF partner. You can't allow that, because what will happen is they will be able to translate that to someone else's dog, and that's where a lot of problems happen. Is they say, oh, my dog, I throw food at my dog and I feed it out of my hand all the time. Well, you don't want to be doing that, because if someone goes over to another dog's house and it's food aggressive, they don't know how to take food out of your hand, and they go, and they say, oh, the dog bit me. Well, I was just getting food out of your hand. You were following a rule in your house, but you weren't, you were told that it's okay to do all of these things with my dog, but then when you go see your neighbor's dog, you are trying to do the same behaviors, and that's where challenges come up. Another piece that's also very, very important is, you as the human leader, for those of you that have children, you understand that the children will repeat every single activity and behavior that you do to the dog. So again, if you have a bad habit of getting temperamental, yelling at the dog. If you're hitting your dog, you shouldn't be doing that, but your kids are going to do that. And the problem that may come up is, dogs typically assert their dominance or their hierarchy based on size. So it's not uncommon for a dog to try and control or have some type of dominance thing going on with small children. Again, you need to stop this. You need to make sure that you have a process and a system with the dog to get its attention, to move it away. But also, you need to work with the children, more importantly, to make sure that they aren't pressuring the dog and pushing it into any situation. Because children act erratically. They do silly things, random moments. You need to make sure that you are watching the children and the dog. Like I said, lack of parental supervision causes almost all of the dog incidences. And it's typically, I've heard stories of, people have called me and said, my dog bit my kid and it never did that. Oh, what happened? Well, the dog, female dog, was sleeping. She ran over, was sucking on her bottle, took her bottle out and, went up to the dog and whacked the dog on the head while it was sleeping. Dog woke up, just turned around and just teeth flying, kind of startled the dog. Guess what? You need to watch your child. You need to tell them you don't, learn a quick lesson that you don't want to bite, that you don't whack the dog with your little baby bottle. That's a lesson we hope they don't learn, at least in that fashion, but that's where you need to watch them. You also need to make sure that you are conscious of children and dogs with food at the same time. Some dogs are food aggressive. Children typically are dropping food, and depending on the dog, you need to make sure that you are watching the dog. As always, supervision is the key to all this, and you are allowing the dog to know when it's time to eat, and making some space, not allowing it to crowd the child or take food from a child. It's a very, very bad habit to have with any dog. Should not be taking food from any of the humans. Bottom line with all of this is just maintain some supervision, use some common sense. Don't allow the children and the dogs to be unsupervised together, and train your dog, train yourself, have a process for everything to say, here's how we act, and this is what you're telling your children. Here's how we act, here's how we treat the dog, here's what we do, here's what we don't do. We don't wake up the dog when it's sleeping, we don't jump on it when it's eating food. Teach your children all of these things. It's easier than you think. Again, if you need help, talk to a professional. We're happy to help you with any of those concepts or implementation of any of the with any individual scenario that you are running into. This is Kevin Shriver from Downtown Pittsburgh Dogs. Thanks as always for watching. Have a great rest of the day.